All right, peace, y'all. So I wanted to hop on here and speak to you all about something that happens to come up pretty often. Never really, taking the time to more address it, to a general, but sometimes in classes, particularly in classes. But then I do get people who reach out and are curious and ask, and it's pertaining to herbs and consultations. So I'll just give you my take on it. So most people are coming to, let's say, outside of people who are trained in, who have some background working with herbalists, have worked with, family, being around people who are, in some capacity working with herbs. People are coming either through the role of a consumer and looking to purchase herbs. And there's lots of things that you have to consider, like, for example, the general things, the sourcing, how was it grown? Who are the people that process the herbs? Was there any additives or anything? A lot of things that go into the herb process, starting from the point when it's growing, when it's foraged or harvested, by the time it gets to the consumers. A lot of, components, a lot of pieces to the process, right? So I just want to speak to, I guess give, just general suggestions or advice coming from the perspective of an herbalist, particularly one that is, trained in a traditional style of diagnosis and such. So, like I said, so you got, you're thinking about the source, you go, you receive some information, just giving an example. Person has received some information and wants to go, and look into some herbs or some way of naturally addressing that. And it's a couple routes that you can go. One that is just going about it, doing a little bit of research. Of course, we have so much chat GPT, AI assisted type of things, which people are now, that's a reality for us as herbalists, people, getting background information, not only from people and from tech sources, but people are going online, Google and such, which is cool. You can get a lot of information from that. And so a lot of people will step out, at least get some baseline information to see if a particular herb or a particular formulation, a tincture, a tea is safe. Then they'll go for it. And that's pretty much where it goes there. So as far as sourcing, usually people are buying their herbs from a supplement store or looking to buy it from like a health food store, natural food store, somebody who has products where they can buy, and it's pretty straightforward. Now, what you end up missing in that process is, sitting down with an individual who can take that a step further by looking at, some concerns that typically a person, will have or want to, have a deeper understanding of before we embark on herbs. Because yes, herbs are natural. Yes, they can be safe, but in terms of not having any type of additional background information on a person's constitution, what that means is like, okay, what are you bringing to the table? What's going on within your person, all right, within your body. But then also not only body, mind, and spirit. And so typically the difference between just gleaning or getting information by looking up online is that there's a deeper consideration when you're looking at, either a holistic practitioner or just an herbalist in general, regardless of their background and the origin, whether that's, more of an ancestral practice, whether they have gone and trained and learned some form of process to guide people from A to B, all right? So you can get that information online, but then you miss what it, the gift of sitting down with someone who can, push the conversation further and have a deeper understanding about more about who you are. Who is this person? Treat the person and not the condition or not the disease. And so what that looks like in herbs is, perhaps finding more about your diet. How are you eating? All right. Finding more about your sleep. Getting history on things like headaches. How do you run typically in your body thermally? Are you a person that runs hot? Do you run cold? How are your bowel movements? Circulation issues, all things of that nature. And so gleaning or getting this type of information is a lot more helpful in guiding you to the end game, which is being paired with the right, individual or herb formula. And so for myself, what that looks like, being trained in, particular styles in acupuncturist and, Chinese herbalism, we're looking at, these various components which need to be, we have to have some grasp of before we guide or instruct someone on which way they should go, or we make a suggestion for herbs. So, in a more involved case, that would be looking like, is it more yin or is it yang? Is it interior or is it something that's on the exterior of the body? Is it an excess or is it deficiency or is it hot or is it cold? That's what we call like the 8 principles. All right, but there's other ways of viewing it in a more simple way that the general person can learn, and what I do share with a lot of people is like kind of looking at kind of narrowing that down to 4 basic areas. Like, is it hot? Are you cold? Is it dry or is it damp? There's kind of 4 parameters of pieces of information that asking into can be very helpful, because you don't want to go and ask or receive herbs, let's say if you're a person who runs hot or warm internally, meaning that there are symptoms of that, beyond just the fact that a person may have palpitations, they frequently sweat, things like this. Other signs, what does their tongue look like? Other signs that let me know that internally they're dealing with something that's involving more, perhaps, but not always, some type of inflammation. There's internal heat, so there's some stirring within. And so typically when you have a hot, you want to address this thing with cooling or cold herbs. Conversely, you have people who are more cold internally, all right? And so in that case, cold conditions, dull, achy pains, internally abdominal pains, sluggish bowels, things like that when looking at their tongue, puffy, swollen tongue with a thick white coating. All these are bits and pieces of information that help me to understand, like, oh, maybe we should be working with more warming herbs. And the same thing for hot and dry. Is this person from like a mucous membrane level, or is it very dry and irritated and inflamed tissues and mucous membranes? Much more expansive than that, but just in a general sense, that's something that we can look at that will allow us to identify, okay, whether we need to go with moistening herbs or drying herbs. All right, so just with those 4 pieces of information, before you select or go forward with choosing what herbs, that's very helpful information, because you don't want to be a more internally or constitutionally more warming, and then you go and then you take some hot herbs that, makes the condition of what's going on happening worse. And that's where you run the case with, either going and just purchasing herbs outright or not, at least getting the information. This is information that you can't quite get from searching, even from a Google search. Really working with a person who can put hands on you, speak with you, and be able to take you to the next level in regards to what is the best herb or what is the best herb formula that you should be using. So I hope that helps for a lot of the people out there, like, okay, they want to consider, should I get a consultation? Yes, I think that everyone, should at some point, particularly in working with herbs, should get a consultation. It's just a unique experience, a one-on-one for someone to really listen to and find out more about who you are before we decide what herbs, as opposed to just going and you go to a vendor, someone who's selling herbs who, has a great product, or is, has, something that is, more popular, by, from a cultural standpoint, a lot of people, but then it's more of a straight baseline, and there is no one fix, there is no one herb, there is no one thing that will help to cure that. And I think it's helpful to, remove that type of frame of thinking, because that's not where it works. We don't have a one pill or one take. It's not a one take Jake type of scenario, if that makes sense. So hopefully this helps a little bit more, but then, throughout the information, just think about that. Next time that you're getting ready to go either purchase some herbs, start on some herbs, want to try, make a shift in herbs, sit down with an herbalist or someone, and again, that can come from any one of the traditions, but, have they at least gone through some way of understanding diagnosis, all right, and can guide you more than just being the fact that they want to sell you a product, which may or may not be a good product that may work for some people. So hopefully that helps. Send me messages, let me know if that resonates with you, and then hopefully, beyond that, you take this information, find you an herbalist. If you're in the Detroit area or anywhere, feel free, always reach out to me to learn more. Hopefully that helps. Peace.